Mr. Cola.
Here.
Mr. Gorman.
Here.
Mr. McElwee.
Here.
Mr. Terrell.
Here.
Ms. Allman. Here. Mr. Purdy.
Here.
Open public meeting announcement. On January 8, 2013, notice of the meeting was mailed to the Mainland Journal, the press, and the current and duly posted in council chambers and township website.
Thank you. Tonight's a moment of silence. I'd like everybody in the room to their thoughts and prayers out to the Hilton family. We did have a loss in our township with a great individual that served his community on our Galloway Council Police Department. He was a leader, he was a friend, he was a father, and of all, he did protect his community at times when we were sleeping and away from accidents and storms and so forth. When we're home sleeping, they're out protecting the community. A great loss. Harry was a great guy, and I just want everybody in the community to keep his family in their prayers. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, I'd like something.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval minutes.
Regular meeting minutes of February 12, 2013, and closed session for content only. February 12, 2013. Need a motion and second.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bastard?
Yes.
Mr. Cola?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Allman? Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Yes. I'm going to bump down to 8. Let's do the work session. We're still waiting for one of our guests to arrive. We're 6. We'll do 6 and 7 together, so let's go down to 8. 1863-13.
Are you finishing that out? The work session?
Doing 7,
Okay,
It's a discussion on the limiting the term of the auditor for the township. As we left it before, I guess council wanted to kind of discuss it. We'll look at different options. I think we left it where we talked about potentially doing it for a 4-year period, with this year being year 1 of the process, if that's what council wishes to do. This is obviously a policy issue and something that has to be done by ordinance. So it's council's decision for discussion.
I think we did discuss it. I did discuss it with the deputy mayor, and I think I discussed it with Councilman Gorman. If you guys want to bring up any dialogue to go from there, I think that we were looking for a 4-year term.
And then we'll start.
Then we'll start January 1. And I think Councilman Gorman okay with that?
Yeah, the 4 years retro for though is a little concerning, but I mean it's better than nothing.
Okay.
4 years, but this year counting is year 1. 2013.
Fine, absolutely. So it'll be January 1 of
January 1.
So, yeah,
That's good.
okay. Councilman McElwee?
Yeah, the original resolution called for 3 years, and everybody seems to agree 4 years. I'm okay with that.
Okay, great. Is there any other council person that would like to put any input on this?
It's just why we came to some compromise.
TC, the way it's written now, how does that change from what we're changing to word for word? Do we have to put it in a written form in front of council?
well, since it hasn't been introduced yet for first reading, you can make your changes now,
And then introduce it the next
and
meeting.
then you can
Introduce it by title now.
then you can turn around and introduce it for first reading, and then I can put in for second reading and public hearing for the next council meeting. So if you want to turn around, what you want to do is for a maximum, it would be paragraph 1 of Article 2, starting there, it will go down to for a maximum of 3 consecutive year. And I believe those
And then
would
you
be.
could add to provide that the year 2013 would be the first year with respect to the current auditor.
Okay, so everybody's okay penciling that in as the clerk has just announced. So we can put that in and we can introduce it as
And,
four.
2013.
Right?
So it's 4 and 4, starting with 2013.
Right.
Yes.
Right, so it's 4, 4, 5, and then 2013 will be the first
The way it's worded,
of 4 years.
the auditor cannot serve for a fifth year consecutively.
Yeah.
You have 4 consecutive years, beginning with
Correct.
2013,
Okay.
but not a fifth consecutive year. There has to be a break.
But I mean, just for argument's sake, do we want to address something in there that a person could be appointed for 4 years, you appoint one for 1 year, then you bring the other guy back for another 4 years? I mean, is that something legislative? I mean, there is a way around this. In a sense.
It's a way around everything.
Right.
Well, it's
not
going to be a
every-
break, and it would be up to the council at that
It'll be a
time.
break, and have somebody take a look at it for at least 1 year, so
Okay.
if future councils want to do that, I guess they're fine, but at least you had somebody go in and look at it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Everybody uses it once in a while.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way the county policy works, that there only has to be a 1-year break. You can start over again, bring back the prior auditor if you really like that auditor.
Yeah, and just for the public's sake, I mean, we're very happy with Leon Costello and John Township. This is just to give an extra set of eyes on the books, you know, every so often with others. I agree.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move it.
To add to the agenda?
Yes.
Second.
Roll call?
Okay, we're adding to the agenda. Mr. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Paula?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond? Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
Okay, now what you need to do is you need to, actually discuss it under
Number 10.
number 10, which would be ordinances for introduction and first reading.
Okay, well, let's do that now, and we can get back up to 6 since our guest has arrived.
Well, that would complete that,
Okay.
if you do that way.
So we have 10. We were gonna introduce 1863-13.
Move it.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Paula?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
advice that, and especially times when our police forces are down so low, that we have surrounding areas that come, and it's a brotherhood between the police departments, and they all work so great together. So I want to thank Egg Harbor City too, because a lot of times, a lot of people don't know about it, and it happens, and it needs to go recognized. So thank you very much. Chief, do you have anything to say?
Just that it's always been a cooperative effort between us, Egg Harbor City, like you said, and that's easy. Anytime we need Egg Harbor City, they're there for us. And, you know, we were lucky enough that everything came in and shift changed. We had enough people. Everybody came down. We knew it was getting towards us, so we stayed until we got the job.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just thinking about Ms. Giaquinto, because we do have proclamation for a reading, and I don't think we have anybody here from the school board today. Bye-bye. Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Days, you think you want to come up? You're from the school board. You're the closest thing we got. I know he's not feeling real good, but you know what? How about you stay there? I'll come to you. Proclamation. As we're citizens Galloway Council, stand firmly committed to promoting reading as catalyst for their students' future academic success for the preparation of America's jobs in the future and their ability to compete in the global economy. The Galloway Council has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement, education, or youth, grounded in the principles of the educational investments that the key to communities' well-being and long-term quality of life. Whereas Read Across America is a national celebration of reading will be conducted on March 1st, 2013, which would have been the 109th birthday of Mr. Seuss, better known as Dr. Seuss, and is whereas being conducted statewide by the State of New Jersey Education Association in partnership with the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, the New Jersey State Library Association, and the local affiliations across the state promoting reading and adult involvement in the educational or community schools. As whereas I nominate Mayor of Galloway Township, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, call the citizens of Galloway Township to assure that every child is in a safe place reading together with a caring adult on March 1st, 2013. Galloway Township endorses the NEA, Reading Across America, Read Across America, New Jersey, and commits our community to engage in programs and activities to make American children be the best readers in the world. I have hereby set my hand on all of the officials of the Galloway Township to be affixed in 2026, day of February 2013. Thank you very much.
I am very happy to see the cooperation and participation of the council officials, council citizens, and parents, and resolution. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
That's a great job. Okay. 11, 1862-13.
An ordinance repealing and deleting in its entirety Chapter 51, Funds of the Galloway Township Code. So it needs to be open for public hearing.
Arch, do you just want to
Briefly,
reiterate what we're...
when they structured self-insurance, and when we were self-insured in 1980, this was put in place to monitor and oversight. Since we've gone through the GIF and we're not self-insured anymore, this is really not needed in the code, part of the code application.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to the public for any questions or comments on 1862-13. Anybody in the public has any questions, please come up to the mic. Hearing none, I'm closing it to the public and open up for council comments. Anybody have any questions or comments on 1862-13?
Move 1862-13.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond? Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Yes. 87-13, paying the bills in the amount of that's a little one. $780,457.28. Questions or comments? Payment of the bills. Mr. Mitchell.
Tom Mitchell, Park Lane Road. Good evening, Mayor. Page 2. Art, what are you doing? New entrance way here?
We had doors put in between my office and the hall and the foyer there, so we could.
That's privacy.
No, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues, personnel issues, HIP issues that are discussed within the office, and it just limits the being listened to by people on the foyer.
Bulletproof?
Right behind that office is where as Art said, a lot of the chip stuff, which is personnel, and right next door you have people coming in the clerk's office, and it's just.
And we would actually be working during the day, and we'd have little children walking in our offices.
I'm used to that.
Risk management. Yes, this is part of the grant program that we received. We started, I guess, about 2.5, 3 months ago. This is just the finishing up of that. It's actually lights. They put fixed a lot of lights. They put new heaters up on the roof.
All the light switches.
Light switches were changed.
Yeah, when you go into a room that the motion lights go on, so people aren't leaving the lights on all night. The T5 bulbs instead of the regular halogen bulb.
It's a big investment.
Our electric bill's big. I think within 2 years.
Yeah, they're talking. Return on investment should be within a couple of years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Some of the units are ready.
Anybody else from the public have any questions or comments on paying the bills? Forget it.
Motion to pay the bills?
Mr. Mayor, may I make a statement, please?
Sure, absolutely.
On page 4 and page 5, there's 2 separate entries for HVAC system repairs by Elliott McElwee Incorporated. I just want to state for the record, I am not related to Gary McElwee. I have no connection to this company. So I don't see any reason why I can't vote on this.
Okay,
Has that in there? Thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Bassford was a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Kola? Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond? Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Yes. March 8813. Anything for closed
Okay.
session tonight?
88-2013.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Whereas the Galloway Township Council has determined the 2 issues are permitted by NJSA 10:4-12B to be discussed without the public in attendance shall be discussed during the executive session to be held on February 26, 2013 at approximately 7:30. And they are both under number 7, any pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiation in which the public body is or may become a party, any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer. The parties to and docket numbers of each of the items of litigation and or the parties to each contract discussed are Bryant Tennant versus Township of Galloway. It's ATL-L-586-13, and the nature of the discussion described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality as attorney-client privilege. I'm saying you will be in there for 45 minutes or less, and at this time, for the Tennant versus Township of Galloway et al. It's unknown at this time, and the necessary occurrence would be after the matter is amicably resolved and all settlement documents are signed or all appeals are exhausted, and the attorney-client privilege is unknown at this time, and the necessary occurrence is also unknown.
Michael. So we have no action taken?
I don't think there's any action.
No action will be taken.
Thank you. A motion to go into closed session after the meeting?
Motion to go into closed session at the conclusion of our meeting.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Kohler?
Yes.
Ms. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. McAwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes. 93-13.
That's yours.
Resolution approving adopting a new invocation policy for council.
Committee?
Would you like me to read part of it, or if you don't?
Sure.
Now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the Township of Galloway County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, that the following invocation policy is hereby adopted. The attached list of invocations are approved for use by council. The municipal clerk will offer to each member of council on a rotating basis the opportunity to offer one of the invocations on the attached list at the beginning of the council meeting at the time identified for the invocation, and the invocation shall immediately follow the open public meeting announcement. At the end of the invocation, any member of council may request a moment of silence to allow for private prayer or meditation by those present. No individual council member shall be obligated to offer an invocation, and the clerk shall confirm privately with the designated council member whether such member desires to offer the invocation at that meeting, and if the council member does not wish to do so, the opportunity shall be provided to the next council member pursuant to the rotation. If no member of council wishes to offer the invocation at the meeting, a moment of silence shall instead be held. Only the invocations on the attached list are approved for use by council. However, additional invocations may be added to the list once they have been reviewed and approved by the township solicitor. The approved invocation shall not be altered or expanded without the prior review and approval of the township solicitor. Any additional invocation or any alteration or expansion of an approved invocation shall be reviewed by the township solicitor to verify that it is consistent with the intent to avoid invocations which proselytize or favor any particular religion or faith. When offering an invocation, the member of council may add or substitute as the council member deems appropriate portions of any of the invocations on the list after approval from township solicitor. In the event of the filing of any litigation or other claim against a member of council based upon an invocation offered by such member of council which is not in accordance with this policy, the indemnification of such member of council may be subject to denial pursuant to section 27-3 of the Galloway Township Code. All members of council are deemed to be aware of this policy. The obligation to comply with its provisions in order to minimize the potential exposure of the township to litigation or other claims.
Thank you. Committee?
So, this has been going on for quite some time now. I'm actually quite happy to be looking at this tonight and examining it and presenting it to council for consideration, because I think we've spent enough time on this. As most people know, the mayor assigned a committee to examine the invocation policy within the township. We were observing a moment of silence for quite some time, and I think a lot of us were comfortable with that, but there seemed to be a public sentiment that wanted the invocation back, so the mayor created a committee to examine such. The committee got together and we examined most closely case Marsh versus Chambers. Marsh versus Chambers seems to be the benchmark by which most public bodies operate and have public prayer under the umbrella of. So we looked closely at that, but what we really decided was we didn't want to mandate an invocation for council, but we certainly didn't want to be told we couldn't have an invocation, because Marsh v. Chambers certainly says that we are allowed to have it with certain stipulations. So we tried to outline those, and we went and we found invocations that were acceptable under Marsh v. Chambers, and we put a list and compiled a list of such. We have the list attached to this resolution, and we're submitting it tonight for consideration to council. This resolution also allows us to have a moment of silence. It by no way mandates that we have an invocation before every meeting. I didn't feel comfortable with that, nor did any of the committee members. And I think this resolution really addresses what we are allowed to do and what's permissible and what's more so defensible. So, Michael, if you have anything to add to that, I know we've been working closely with our township solicitor on this.
I would just say that the committee, in terms of looking at that, has had to deal with a number of competing interests. The primary underlying goal was to avoid and minimize the exposure of the township to litigation. There were other approaches that were also potentially legal, but some of those, such as having clergy come in on a rotating basis, have potential problems with that in terms of what they would say, the format for the rotation, which has led to problems in some communities. So this was I think, first of all, an approach that minimizes the township's exposure. It's in full compliance with, the limitations that the court have put on. Some have questioned whether or not it's appropriate to have, a list of approved, prayers, but there's no prohibition on doing that. And again, it keeps things on a narrow approach that avoids exposure for the township. And I think that if we, just simply gave the direction, for instance, to allow, council people to randomly give non-sectarian prayers, it could be a potential problem in terms of what would actually be said and so forth. So again, this is as I agree with the deputy mayor, the primary goal is to avoid exposure, yet to also recognize, the interest of council people and the public in having an invocation, for the beginning of each meeting. But also it's indicated no one is obligated to offer it, and that there's no public exposure if somebody doesn't want to. It would just go to another council people to offer it instead. So I think it works a very reasonable balance, I think, from all directions.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments from council? Nope. Hearing none.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bastard?
Yes.
Mr. Capola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Purdy?
Yes. Seeing how I skipped over council committee reports, none. I'm going to bounce back up there since we were juggling around waiting for our guests to arrive. Do we have any council committee reports that anybody wants to report on? Arch, if you can see if we could plan possibly a infrastructure committee meeting. I know we have the resolution on for the bike path, and we do have some sidewalks things and so forth that's getting done. So it's been probably a half a year since we've had a meeting, and you can give us a rundown of what's going on, maybe with the Public Works Director.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This year's Education Committee is myself, Councilman Tyrell, and Councilwoman Ullman.
Yes.
I would like to ask at this time if, I kind of want to get a feel from the rest of council, if we could enter into some discussions with the Galloway Township Board of Education and maybe explore some ways that we could work together on certain issues that we're both facing. Also, some ideas to run by them that I've had, and I'll talk to the rest of the committee about.
I think it's great, Michael. That's well within their rights to do so. Report back to the council.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
We'll set up a date and we'll report back to council.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Hearing none else, we go down to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Consent agenda indicates items of business which are not controversial and do not require individual discussion. A motion approving the consent agenda is moved, seconded, and voted upon as one item by the Township Council. If any discussion is requested on a consent agenda item, it is removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. The resolutions are 89-13, approval to submit grant application. 90-13, release of performance guarantee for M&B Galloway Associates. 91-13, authorizing the award of contract to Carney's Auto Works LLC. 92-13, authorizing the cancellation and/or refund of taxes due to overbilling. 94-13, authorized disposal of items that did not sell on GovDeals. 95-13, authorizing the refund of taxes due to overpayments. 96-13, amending resolution number 72-13 due to wrong amount. And 97-13, authorizing mayor to execute grant application.
Is everybody okay with all of them, or is there anything you want to pull out and discuss individually? You want to take them as a group? Everybody's okay?
Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda? Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Basker?
Yes.
Mr. Capola?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. McElwee?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Pert?
Yes, I'd like to abstain out of 91-13.
9113.
And just for the record, it's not my company or anything to do with my company, it's just the same type of business, and sometimes things do go back and forth, and I don't want to have anybody say I have a conflict there, but it's not my company.
Duly noted.
Manager report. Art?
The governor, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, gave his annual budget message. And it looks like that the aid for the municipalities is going to be flat this year. He is going to cut some transitional aid monies out from some of the transitional aid towns, but our funding itself appears to be the same as last year. The other thing that we have after discussion last meeting, we've put an RFP out for the redesign and upgrade of the website. We're looking for March 15th response. We're doing this kind of as a competitive contracting, if you want to look at it, even though it doesn't meet the thresholds. And we're going to let people submit proposals. Even though the amount, we say not to exceed $10,000, we can choose much less. It'll give us some flexibility. If we like one for $3,000 better than one that we like for $7,000, then we're going to go with the one. It also gives us the ability, if we want to add and subtract things, if one's for $3,000, we can say, okay, well, what if we want to add this and we want to do this and we want to do that, then we've got some flexibility.
I love the idea of doing a, of getting this together from an outside source too, because we tried to do some in-house stuff and it didn't work, and finally we can get a professional on this to get it done once and for all, be in full compliance with all the state, get everything out there that frequently gets Oprah, and we can put it all out there so people can go right to the website and have that portal.
And part of it is having the designer teach people in-house on how to upgrade it and how to add things and take things out. So that's also part of the RFP process.
You have a designer, have links to the medical center for birthing stuff, information when they go on, if there's things stocked in college, if that involves around.
Yeah, it's unlimited what you can do. It's just the fact that ours is definitely outdated, and we're having difficulty getting people in-house to update some of the issues on it. We are using external databases on the E360 right now. We're trying to get our system to link into that much better and much clearer. But we're looking forward to the competition. We're looking for creativity, and I think this opens up for people to come in and present some ideas and different concepts of what they've done with websites.
Well, I thank you, Archie, and as I said, we've asked this for years, and we try to do it in-house, and and the decision's going to come back on the governing body to decide what to do, how to do it. But thank you for bringing that up. Let's get that done.
Arch, the $10,000 figure, I mean, I have a problem with that going out with the bid. I mean, wouldn't it have been better to just ask for blind quotes?
No, because I don't want to get a bunch of RFPs for $40,000 or $50,000. When you put a limit on it, it basically says we don't expect to spend more than this. But again, we don't expect even to spend that if we expect it to be lower.
Yeah, but in my mind, you're telling people we have $10,000. How much of it do you want?
And I can agree.
You always have to put
County
it
does it all the time.
because then if it comes back, it's just.
County does it all the time, say not to exceed.
Yeah, not to exceed amount. I mean, because if you just have it open with no number attached to it, like I said, I'm going to get tons and tons and tons of responses of people that are, want outrageous amounts of money. When I've RFP websites before, you get these people come in and they want big numbers for these things. And when you limit it, saying we're not going to spend over this X amount, at least they know, or they're not going to come in, or you're going to eliminate the big people, and you get somebody who's interested in working. Like I said, depending on, we may get a website that somebody prices at $3,000 that doesn't, is much better than one that's priced at $10,000. So we're creating competition here, and if we don't like it, we can reject them and come back with it. I don't expect to spend $10,000. But that's what I wanted to hear.
But I just think there might have been other options. There's people in the township that could do that. There's a young lady that works for the Galloway Township School Board.
she's actually out on maternity leave right now, but.
Well, I guess you could do it then, huh?
She could do it from her home. I mean,
Well,
How do you pay her for it?
She can bid on it. They'll look good. That's great. Bring her.
I mean,
Yeah, she can bid on it.
A company like myself wanted to get that done. It's easy for me to go over and make a deal and say, listen, I'm going to do this and I'm a 1099 yet. But when you're a municipality and you're paying public, you're spending public funds, I think you need to have a company that's documented, insured, bonded. So God forbid something does happen and it infiltrates, I think you need some kind of accountability for it. Not saying that I definitely agree with you, Jim, with the amount of money. I think that, if it does come out to be 9,000 or 3,000, what that number, that's the governing body's going to be the one that's going to be able to make that decision.
yeah, that's my concern. I just think it can be done for a lot less. I mean,
Let's hope.
you and I are on the same page. I mean, it needs to be updated. It needs to be modernized.
Well, we all know it, but I mean, if there was a shared service out there that we could have looked at or we can look at, some of the municipalities have a great website. So it's their IT.
Yeah, I mean, we've reached out to some of the other municipalities around, and a lot of them have a lot of the same issues with people not being able to do it in-house, or was it Ocean City supposed to have like 3 people full-time to do their website?
They're short communities.
I'm not hiring 3 people to do a website full-time. I mean, let's face the facts. I'm looking for what's most cost-effective for the township. Shared services, they can work if it's like reaching out to the college. It's good to work with the college and the kids from the college, but when their semester's over, they're gone and you have no support for your website then.
Just make sure that we include all the compliance issues that are mandated by the state with the new website for municipality too, and the RFP, so people understand the full scope.
Yeah, and we'll structure and TCO meet with the designers and making sure we have all the links up and a lot of it's up now with the agendas are up now for 13 and the resolutions are up for 13. It's just, we would make it more ease of use. And the other thing you have to understand is with the website design, is you want to design when you're doing economic development, especially, you want somebody to look at your website and say that it looks like you're modern, you're up to date, you're doing something that looks good.
Interactive.
Right, yeah, and you don't want a website that's flat and not going to open somebody's eyes. And I know with my background in economic development with UEZs and so forth, we always look to grab somebody's eye and let's get them to look at us. And if you don't have a modern website, they're going to look at your community as not being up to date.
And I think, through the years, and even Mr. Price has said that, when you put something out there for businesses to come to your town, and they open it up and they look at what you have, they might not want to come invest in your town. If you do have something that you're up to the date with technology, it brings them to want to have to come to your community to open it up. And I think that the easier it's for people to shuffle through to get the information that they need, it might be less time that, if it goes on the clerk's office and so forth, the clerk puts all the information up after the meeting, and, people can see more of what's going on in the community.
Right.
Thank you. Is that all you have, Rich?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman. All I have tonight, Mayor, is my sympathy for the Hiltner family. It was a great loss. That's all. Councilman Bassman?
Same thing, Mayor. That's all I had. I'd like to extend my condolences to the Hiltner family. It's a sad loss for the family. Somebody that young, so it's just tragic. It's terrible loss.
Yeah, definitely echo those sentiments with regard to Harry Hiltner. Big loss for their family and big loss to the community. It was really nice to see the kind of turnout that we had, both from Galloway residents and the Galloway Council police, as well as the extended area of the region, in particular.
Yeah, I want to send my sincerest condolences to the Hiltner family. I choose to remember Harry at the event last year. I think we were all there. And when I pulled into the carriage house, you couldn't park. I mean, they were down the street. Everybody in Galloway was there. Very sad. I'd also like to congratulate Mrs. J on a victory. The Jessica Lunford Act was passed in the Assembly, although a diluted version. They did take out the provision for harboring of pedophile, and
It did pass now. As I understand it, it goes, before it can be signed by the governor, it goes back to the Senate because it was a different bill that they passed, and then it goes back for review. But you take your victories where you can, Mrs. J. And you and your committee, your CUFS committee, is to be commended. Thank you. That's all I have.
I just echo everyone else's sentiments as well for the Hilton family. My thoughts and prayers go out to them.
I was thinking as our neighbors from Egg Harbor City came out to acknowledge the assistance of our police department and our canine, how lucky we are to have a canine force with our police department. There's a lot of the municipalities don't have that, and I know that there's budget cuts. People start sniffing around thinking, where can we cut? But I'd always be an advocate for having a canine assist the police department. Is such an advantage. And when I see these cops standing up here and we're talking about Harry, I think few people realize how tight-knit a group that the police department is. My brother was a police officer down in Baltimore City, and I worried every day that he was down there for his safety. And then I had an opportunity to go down there and spend a couple days with these guys and actually do a ride along. And I saw the camaraderie, and I saw that how they watch each other's back, and they really truly watch out for each other, and they're brothers. And when something like this hits home, as it did with Harry, every time I see one of our police officers, and the only time I've seen one in the last 2 weeks or so, I can't help but walk up to him and say, I'm sorry for your loss, as if it was one of their members of their own family, because that's how tight these guys are. And not only Harry's wife Jean and his daughter Ashley, but all the guys and the men and women of the police department and all the associates that work in the offices over there are really hurting from this one. And my thoughts and prayers definitely will be with the Hilton family, not only today and not only next month, but years to come. So that's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. My thoughts again, our police department is a strong police department, as the deputy mayor says. It's definitely a brotherhood for them. And sitting at the services for Harry the other day, I mean, I've known Harry for a long time, before he was a police officer. And he was a very giving guy. And he was there for everybody else. And, when they go for services for chemo, and he's going to Pennsylvania and so forth, they have a bond there, and they all took turns in taking Harry for his treatments. And, they wouldn't trade it for nothing. And you could hear that when you were at the services, of how tight-knit the community was. And sometimes I would be talking to, Chris Doyle or the chief, and they'd be telling me they're going up to drive up to take Harry up to his service to get his chemo treatment done. And, it's a 45-minute ride. That ride seems like hours when you have stuff like that going on. And, and this brings me to the second side of the conversation that I'm about to have. It's very depressing, all the stuff that I've seen our police department go through in years past. There's to read about different things that's put in the paper before that they have had their day, like any other problem that we've had legally. I will not sit back and let the media beat down our police department until they have their day. And our guys are out there putting their lives on the line to protect this community, day in and day out. And for somebody to have 5 minutes of fame when it comes to their time of putting something on the computer or so forth, they should remember that them guys are out there putting their lives on the line to protect every one of us. No matter what happened, if it's a comment that was made or so forth, we'll all know in the future. But they got to remember, this is not just a job for these individuals, it's a career, and they're out there to protect us. And I know everybody says it's their job. Well, when they're there to protect your family, it's more than a job. And everybody needs to remember that. And take their thoughts and prayers and keep them to themselves and close to the vest until anybody knows the truth. And I do respect and I trust and know that our police department is a great, strong police department. And I want the public to know that I don't want to sit back and listen to this. I will fight for the police department. And they're there for us, and I'm going to be there for them. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. If anybody has something to say, please come up to the mic, state your name and your address. Here she comes. This is Jay.
I'm Jessie Galloway. Number one, thank you for reinstating the prayer. It made me very happy. The Jessica Lundford Act, yes, but we do have one more hurdle. And then we want to see one screaming Dane running down the street. We have been working on in my committee for almost 8 years. Between Megan's Law and Jessica Lundford, and it's been going back and forth like a ping pong. So I hope this year it takes root. I hope New Jersey finally woke up. Yeah, they took out the clause about aiding and harboring, pedophiles. But I would give that up because they didn't touch the 25-year mandatory sentencing.
That's right.
And that was the big problem. That's what a lot of the senators and legislators frowned on. Nobody wanted to make that commitment. So just to have that in there, if we have to do away with something else, that's fine. So that's another thing.
You got the biggest piece of the candy bar, right?
That's it. I mean, sometimes you don't like the way the candy bar tastes, but half is better than nothing. And one other thing. Tony, you're on the Veterans Committee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was at the vets, and somebody
You were where?
At the vets.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody came up to me and said, I wanted to do a memorial for my dad. And I went and spoke to somebody on the Veterans Committee to get this memorial done. They said, okay, fine, everything, what have you. I gave them all the information and what have you. He paid his money and has not heard anything. Could you look into that? I have his email here.
Are you referring to the wall at the Veterans Memorial down there on by the Glen?
Yeah.
The glass block.
The glass block.
It was 100 and...
Yeah.
Some odd, I don't remember.
If you give me that email, we'll follow up. I think they're having the problem. I'm sorry, I turned the mic off. They're having difficulty finding. See, what happened was when that wall was built, and that was before my time, they had pre-sold a number of glass blocks on that wall to be personalized with actually the logo of the branch of service that person served in. Nicely done, very tasteful, nicely done. The problem is afterwards their plan was to continue selling the glass blocks, but the original glass blocks were done in a shop or a machine and then placed into the wall, mortared in. They're having difficulty finding an engraver that can go out to the site and engrave onto that wall without cracking the blocks because they're part of the wall now. So I'm not sure what the status is. I know they have returned some money to some customers, and they had a potential carver that was going to go out and do that. But I think that his phone calls have been going unanswered, so I'm not sure of the status of that. But if you give me that email, I'll make sure we follow up with him and make sure. But I'll turn it over to the chairman of our committee. I'm well aware that there is a problem with that. And if anybody from the public knows of somebody who's capable of doing this kind of work, and we've examined even some chemical etching and things like that as an alternative to actual mechanically engraving to address that. But that's proven to be a little bit of a problem. I guess that wasn't a full thought wasn't given to that when they designed that. So
there was some talk at the last meeting about that, and they said what you just said, right, that they're having a problem finding somebody.
It's been aware of it.
So.
Yeah. But I'll take that from you. I'll just come down right now and grab that from you.
I mean, you'd rather have this father memorialized?
Absolutely.
Okay. All righty? That's what you do. All right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. J.
Good evening. Al Syverson, 264 East Ridgewood. I just want to let you know how much we were blessed to host the Hilton funeral service the other day. Just amazing to see how many people came through the doors on that afternoon and even part of the service. But I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to pray for that family tonight. I also want to mention too, and that Chief Worth was mentioned tonight too. I don't know how blessed. I'm blessed to know we have somebody like that leading our schools. I have 3 daughters that graduated from the Galloway schools, and they were great students. And I remember one, and that was the principal of the middle school, and now she's our superintendent, which is a great leader, and I appreciate her. And we have great schools, as you know, in Galloway. Just want to make sure you're aware of that too. I just want to do a short prayer, and I want to also pray for more commercial ratables. We always are talking about that, and I believe in prayer. I believe God answers prayer. So I just want to say a short prayer. God, I pray for the health of our family. I pray for Jean and her daughters, and just the whole family, that you'd help them through this grieving process. And Lord, as everyone here tonight has mentioned, it's a tremendous loss to our township, to our police department. And I just pray you'd help that family through this time. And I thank you for our leadership of our schools, and that Chief Quentin, what she does, and the other principals, everybody else that is involved with our school district. I thank you for them, and just ask your blessing on them. And Lord, I pray too for our financial situation here in the township, and I'm thinking of the need for more commercial ratables. Lord, I pray that you would help provide those, and thank you for these folks that are here tonight, sitting in the audience, as well as our township council and those that have worked for the township. Pray blessing on each one. Thank you that I could be here tonight too. In your name, amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor Algo. Anybody else from the public has anything to say, please come up to the mic, state your name, your address. Seeing none.
Going to closed session.
Second.
And council will adjourn from the closed session since there's no other business.
Yes.